Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Trump polling at an all-time high at 59.3%, and DeSantis precipitously is already down to 12.9%, specifically for the Republican nominee. Now, this is thanks to one of my favorite websites by the name of 538.com, which looks like it's a part of ABC News. I don't want to say that you get enough for marketing, but can't help but think a better website name for this would be politicalaggregator.com or pollaggregator.com. What it is basically an average of all the polls of a specific subject. So this is an average based on sometimes dozens or even hundreds of polls where they're asking people, who do you want to be the Republican nominee? So this gives you a better idea, since it's not just a single study or simple poll where sometimes you'll have between maybe 800 to 2,000 people who are polled about a subject. This is a poll of polls, so there's a lot of more data to it, which is why there's a little bit more variation when you're looking at the graph, but this is the average of that variation. So this is, again, astonishing to see how much Trump has gone up. So Trump, at the very beginning, this is astonishing. So January 8, 2023, Trump is at 45.2%. DeSantis was 34.6%. Nikki Haley was at 2.6%, and Chris Christie is 1.4%. Tim Scott was 1%. Ramaswamy had not announced it yet. So January 8th, they were doing really good. Trump was doing okay. DeSantis, 34%, 34.6%. And then as time went on, DeSantis is a impressive. Yeah, it's lower and lower and lower. So by April 1st, Trump was already at 49. Well, let me see here. April 1st, Trump was at 47.9%. DeSantis is already down to 26%. Nikki Haley was at 4.8%. Ramaswamy was at 0.9%. And by January 1st, Trump had continued to increase. He was then 52.7%. DeSantis was down again to 19.6%. Nikki Haley was 4%. Ramaswamy was up 4.2%. Chris Christie is somehow still around. He was at 2.4% in that period. Then you go all the way to October 1st. Trump's at 54.8%. DeSantis was down to 14.1%. Nikki Haley was at 6.9%. Ramaswamy was at 7.1%. Chris Christie, 2.6%. And as of today, Trump's at 59.2%. And DeSantis is at 12.6%. Nikki Haley's at 7.8%. Ramaswamy is back down at 5.2%. Chris Christie is still around at 2.9%. Tim Scott's at 1.7%. Mr. Burgum is at 0.8%. Hutchinson is at 0.5%. And then Mike Pence, it will be a very heartbreaking news because I'm sure no one actually talked about it, but he dropped out. All 18 of his prospective voters are very disappointed. They're sad. They're at home, I'm sure, devastated. Very shocked that how did Mike Pence lose? But joking aside, DeSantis has dropped so much. And again, the election isn't quite some time away in politics. Things change pretty fluidly. It might be a hockey stick projection where, you're pretty flat and all the way up, really, just go up. But, yeah. Right now, Trump is leading by... The gap is just exponentially increased. And DeSantis, I don't know who's in charge of his campaign. There's a lot of conspiracies of people thinking maybe they're secretly Trump fans and they're doing it just to nuke DeSantis or just to, make him fall in his own alleged high-heeled boots. Or I forget what it's called. The fake boots they may or may not be using to make himself look taller. But at this rate, just give it a couple more months and Nikki Haley or Ramaswamy will be ahead of DeSantis. So let me know, are you surprised by this recent poll? Or this recent poll update, rather? And do you think the gap between Trump and the other Republican nominees is actually just going to continue to increase more and more and more? On average, pretty much everyone has gone up in the polls except for DeSantis. Nikki Haley's gone up a little bit. Ramaswamy's gone down a little. He went up and then down a little bit. Chris Christie continues to expand. and pun moderately intended, Tim Scott got a little larger. I mean, pretty much everyone has gone up except DeSantis. And he's had some highs and lows. But when you look at the overall average of his campaign, I mean, the Magic 8 Ball would certainly say for Ron DeSantis the outlook is not good. But let me know in the comments. I mean, a lot of people thought this was the guy, and how quickly things certainly changed. Right now, public sentiment is he's a joke at best, and the rumor that he's going to be VP is all but dissolved by now. I mean, they've gone at each other pretty hard in the paint, as the youth might say, in terms of political jabs of each other with Trump versus DeSantis. I can't help but think, well, again, ADHD. No, I'm not a scientist. However, if you click the subscribe button, it may help with my stuttering. It's not a sure thing. It might not be a guarantee fix. However, it can't hurt. It might help. But nevertheless, going back to Trump and DeSantis and Nikki Haley and Ramaswamy, I mean, at this point, if they keep going on the current trajectories, I mean, DeSantis will be at 3% before we know it. And again, his political advisors, I don't know if they're inebriated, just socially, mentally vacuous. I mean, it almost boggles the mind how they could be intentionally doing the things they're doing. Because again, nothing's really helping out right now. It's just digging the hole more and more and more. So let me know in the comments, do you think this gap will continue to increase and Trump will continue to increase in the polls? It'll be interesting to see, but as I always say, time shall tell. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of November, so if you could click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a comment is a great way to let me know what I could be doing better, or just sharing an appreciation with how I'm currently doing things. But I'm always looking to improve the show, so critique is always appreciated. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.